My wife called me while I was at work. I just came into millions. Pack your things and get out of my house. When I got home, the divorce papers were already laid out, waiting for me. I smiled, signed them, and said, "Good luck." She thought she'd just checkmated me. She had no idea what her uncle had actually arranged in his will, or what I'd been quietly keeping from her for years. My name is Henry Lane, I'm 52, and I own a precision machining shop in northern Ohio. I've spent the last 28 years cutting metal, working with tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch. When you deal with that level of precision, you learn that tiny details matter. A fraction off, and the entire part is ruined. I only wish I'd applied that same precision to my marriage. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was out on the shop floor, inspecting a batch of aerospace components we were producing for a defense contractor. The machines around me droned in a familiar, steady rhythm I'd listened to for decades. My phone buzzed at my hip, cutting through the noise. I pulled it out and saw Brandy's name on the screen. I stepped away from the machinery to answer. "Hey, what's going on?" I asked. Her voice came through sharp and clear, carrying something I'd never quite heard from her before. Not anger, not sadness, triumph. "I just inherited millions," Brandy said. No greeting, no build-up. "Pack your stuff and get out of my house." I stood there in the middle of my shop, surrounded by the machines that had built our life, and felt my world shift sideways. Two of my guys were still bent over a lathe, working like it was any other day, completely unaware that mine was falling apart. "What are you talking about?" I asked, keeping my voice even. "Uncle Raymond's estate finally went through," she said. "It's all official. The attorney called this morning, so I'm telling you now. Pack your things and be gone. Today." I glanced at the wall clock, 2:15 p.m. "Brandy, we need to sit down and talk about this," I said. "There's nothing to discuss," she snapped. "I'll be at the house at 6. I expect you gone by then." Then she hung up. I stood there for a moment, phone still in my hand, as something inside me went very still. It wasn't panic. It wasn't even real shock. It was a cold, sharp clarity. The woman I'd married 27 years ago was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. What Brandy didn't know was that I'd already gotten my own call 2 weeks earlier. Her uncle, Raymond Mitchell, had phoned me from hospice. His voice was frail, but his mind was as sharp as ever. "Henry," he said, "I need to tell you something about the will. There are protections in place for you. Brandy doesn't know about them yet. When she learns about the inheritance, she's going to make a move. Be ready." I'd asked him what he meant, but he just coughed and said, "You'll see. Just trust the process, and Henry, document everything." So, when Brandy called that afternoon, I wasn't blindsided. I was ready. I left the shop at 5, telling my foreman I had a family emergency. The drive home was about 20 minutes, and I spent every minute turning Raymond's warning over in my mind. He'd seen something in his niece that I'd been too close, or too stubborn, to see. Whatever he'd put in that will was about to matter, a lot. When I pulled into the driveway, every light in the house was on. It looked less like someone was living there, and more like someone was staging a scene. I walked through the front door and found Brandy in the living room, dressed like she was heading to a corporate board meeting. On the dining table, a folder sat perfectly centered, papers neatly arranged. "You actually came," she said, sounding almost disappointed. "You told me to," I replied. She flicked her hand toward the table. "Sign the papers. Divorce petition, separation agreement, property split. My lawyer drafted them this afternoon. Sign and go." I stepped up to the table and opened the folder. The documents looked polished and official at first glance, but I've dealt with paperwork my entire career. Something was off. No court stamp, no case number, no notary seal, just some well-formatted pages on fancy paper. "Who's your attorney?" I asked. "That's none of your business," Brandy said. "Just sign." I picked up the pen she'd left beside the folder and looked at her. Really looked. This was the woman I'd built a life with, the mother of my 2 daughters, and all I could see in her eyes was cold strategy. I signed everywhere she'd marked. Then I set the pen down, pulled out my phone, and took clear photos of every single page. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "Documenting," I said calmly. I went to our bedroom and packed a bag. Clothes, medication, important documents, my laptop, everything I'd need to operate without the house. When I came back, Brandy was on her phone, not even bothering to be discreet. Yes, he's leaving now, she said. Everything went exactly as planned. I paused at the front door and turned back. She watched me, waiting for me to collapse, to beg, to show some sign of breaking. Instead, I gave her a small, controlled smile. Good luck, Brandy, I said. Then I walked out. I checked into a Hampton off Route 30, the kind of place that doesn't ask questions and has cameras covering every hallway and parking lot. These days, being careful isn't paranoia, it's just smart. The room was plain and forgettable, which was exactly what I wanted. I dropped my bag on the bed and pulled out my laptop. Raymond's words echoed in my head. Document everything. I started with the bank accounts. Brandy and I had always kept our money together, joint checking, joint savings, the typical setup. I'd trusted her with managing the household expenses so I could focus on keeping the shop running. I logged into our main account and began scrolling through the transactions. At first, everything looked ordinary. Mortgage payments, utilities, groceries, the usual. Then I started digging further back. 6 months, a year, 2 years. That's when I saw them. Small transfers, $500 here, $800 there. Always going to an account I didn't recognize. The recipient listed was Patricia Reeves, Brandy's mother. My grip tightened on the laptop as I kept scrolling, my stomach dropping a little more with each line. The transfers went back 7 years. 7 years of quiet, methodical siphoning. Some months, a few hundred. Other months, several thousand. I opened a spreadsheet and began totaling the amounts. When I finished, the number at the bottom stared back at me. $243,000. $250,000 drained from our joint accounts, funneled into her mother's name, and hidden from me for 7 years. Money I'd earned with my own hands and my business, quietly siphoned away while I trusted her to handle the household. I leaned back in the stiff hotel chair and felt a cold weight settle in my chest. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't a heat-of-the-moment decision. Brandy had been laying the groundwork for years. The inheritance was just her excuse to finally pull the trigger. I took screenshots of every transfer, making sure every date, every amount, and every recipient detail was clearly visible. Then I moved on to our other accounts, credit cards, investments, the business line of credit. That's when I found the second bombshell, an email notice in my spam folder from 3 days earlier from our health insurance provider. Request to remove Christopher Henry Lane from family policy, pending review. I opened it. Brandy had contacted Blue Shield 3 days before that phone call. She told them we were already separated and asked that I be removed from our family plan immediately. I have type 2 diabetes. I've been managing it for 8 years with medication that runs about $750 a month without insurance. Brandy knew this. She'd sat with me in doctor's offices, listened to every treatment plan, and still she tried to strip my coverage before even telling me about the inheritance. If she'd pulled it off, I'd have been staring at a medical crisis on top of everything else. My prescriptions would run out in 2 weeks, my blood sugar would spiral, and I could easily end up in the ER. This wasn't just betrayal, it was targeted, calculated cruelty. I took screenshots of the insurance email as well. Then I opened a new message to Tom Patterson, the attorney who'd handled the incorporation of my shop 15 years ago. I attached everything, the photos of the bogus divorce papers, the bank records, the insurance notice. In the subject line, I wrote, "Need immediate consultation regarding divorce and financial fraud." I hit send and checked the time. 8:30 p.m. My phone had been buzzing off and on with texts from Brandy, but I'd ignored them. Now I opened the thread. 7 p.m. "Don't think you can fight this. I have lawyers." 7:15. "You were always weak. This is better for both of us." 7:30. "Answer me." 7:40. "Fine. Be that way. You'll regret ignoring me." 8 o'clock. "My attorney will be contacting you tomorrow." I took screenshots of those too. Then I typed one short reply. "All communication should go through my attorney. I'll provide contact information tomorrow." Her answer came back almost instantly. "You can't afford an attorney." I set the phone down and didn't respond. Let her think whatever she wanted. Raymond had warned me this was coming, and he clearly had a plan in mind. Tomorrow, I'd find out exactly what protections he'd built into that will. My phone rang. It was Mia, my older daughter. I answered right away. "Dad!" Her voice was tight, anxious. "What's going on? Mom called and said you moved out. Dad, what's happening?" I could hear the fear in her voice, and it cut right through me. "She said you left her?" Mia went on, her tone gaining an edge. She said you couldn't handle her success. That one hurt, but I kept my voice steady. Your mom and I are dealing with some serious issues, I said quietly. I'm staying at a hotel for now, but whatever happens between your mother and me does not change anything between you and me, or your sister and me. You two are my priority. There was a pause. She's talking about the inheritance and lawyers, Mia said. When things calm down a little, I'll explain everything, I told her. Right now, I need to ask you something. Did your mom ever say anything about your med school loans? Another pause. She said she'd help with them once the inheritance came through, Mia said. Why? Just curious, I replied. How much do you still owe? About $180,000, she answered quietly. I'm in my second year. It's a lot, Dad. I was counting on that help. My stomach dropped. Brandy wasn't just using money to corner me. She was already dangling it over our daughter's future. Don't worry about it, I said. We'll figure something out. Dad, you don't have that kind of money, Mia said. The shop does okay, but not med school money. Let me worry about that, I told her. You focus on your studies. I love you, Mia. I love you too, Dad. When the call ended, I sat alone in that bland hotel room and let the reality sink in. Brandy wasn't just attacking me. She was setting herself up to control our daughters through their finances as well. My phone chimed with a new email. It was from Tom Patterson, already responding. Can meet tomorrow, 9 a.m. This looks serious. Bring all documentation. I replied confirming the time and then tried to get some sleep. It didn't come easy. The next morning, I showed up at Tom's office 15 minutes early. He'd been doing family law for 30 years, and his office looked the part. Walls lined with law books, a desk neatly covered in files, and the face of someone who'd seen every possible version of human ugliness during a divorce. Henry, he said, shaking my hand. Have a seat. Start from the beginning and tell me everything. I spent about 40 minutes laying it all out. The phone call, the fake divorce papers, the stolen money, the attempt to cancel my insurance. Tom took notes, occasionally interrupting with a question, his expression darkening as I went on. And you said her uncle warned you? He asked. Yeah, I said. Raymond Mitchell. He died 2 weeks ago. Called me from hospice and told me there were protections in the will. Tom leaned back in his chair. The estate hearing is set for tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the county probate office, he said. You're listed as a required attendee. Me? I asked. Why? That's what we're going to find out, Tom replied. He pulled out a legal pad. But based on what you've told me, I'd say Raymond knew exactly what his niece was capable of, and he tried to head her off. That afternoon, Tom and I drove downtown to the probate office for what the notice called a preliminary estate review. The building was a gray, bureaucratic relic that smelled like old paper and stale air. Brandy was already there in the hallway, standing next to a woman I didn't recognize. The woman was dressed in an expensive suit, radiating confidence and high-end perfume. When Brandy saw me, her expression hardened. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. "I was invited," I said calmly. "This is family business," she shot back. "Mr. Lane was specifically requested to attend," Tom replied, stepping forward, "by the deceased. We were called into a conference room, $250,000, gone from our joint accounts, funneled into an account in her mother's name, and hidden from me for 7 years. Money I'd earned with my own hands and my business, quietly drained away while I trusted her to manage the household. I leaned back in the cheap hotel chair and felt something icy settle in my chest. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't anger in the moment. Brandy had been laying this groundwork for years. The inheritance was just the excuse she needed to finally pull the trigger. I took screenshots of every transaction, making sure each date, amount, and the recipient's name were clearly visible. Then I moved on to the rest of our finances, credit cards, investment accounts, the business line of credit. That's when I found the second bombshell, an email in my spam folder from 3 days earlier, sent by our health insurance provider. Request to remove Christopher Henry Lane from family policy, pending review. I opened it. 3 days before her phone call, Brandy had contacted Blue Shield and told them we were already separated. She'd asked them to remove me from our family plan immediately. I have type 2 diabetes. I've been managing it for 8 years, with medication that costs about $750 a month without insurance. Brandy knew that. She'd sat next to me at every appointment. And still, she tried to cut off my coverage before even telling me about the inheritance. If she'd succeeded, I would have been staring down a medical crisis on top of everything else. My prescriptions would have run out in 2 weeks, my blood sugar would have gone out of control, and I could have ended up in the ER. This wasn't just betrayal, it was deliberate cruelty. I took screenshots of the insurance email as well. Then I opened a new message to Tom Patterson, the attorney who had helped me incorporate my shop 15 years ago. I attached everything: the photos of the fake divorce paperwork, the bank statements, the insurance notice. My subject line was simple: need immediate consultation regarding divorce and financial fraud. I hit send and checked the time. 8:30 p.m. My phone had been vibrating off and on with texts from Brandy, but I hadn't checked them yet. Now I opened the thread. 7 p.m. Don't think you can fight this. I have lawyers. 7:15. You were always weak. This is better for both of us. 7:30. Answer me. 7:40. Fine. Be that way. You'll regret ignoring me. 8 o'clock. My attorney will be contacting you tomorrow. I took screenshots of all of them. Then I typed one short reply. All communication should go through my attorney. I'll provide contact information tomorrow. Her answer came within seconds. You can't afford an attorney. I set the phone down without responding. Let her think whatever she wanted. Raymond had warned me this was coming, and he clearly had his reasons. Tomorrow I'd learn exactly what protections he'd built into that will. My phone rang. It was Mia, my older daughter. I picked up immediately. Dad? Her voice was tight with worry. What's going on? Mom called and said you moved out. Dad, what's happening? I could hear the fear in her voice, and it cut straight through me. She said you walked out on her, Mia continued, her tone sharpening. She said you couldn't handle her success. That stung, but I kept my voice steady. Your mom and I are dealing with some serious issues, I said. I'm in a hotel for now, but whatever happens between your mother and me doesn't change anything between me and you, or your sister. You two are my priority. She's talking about the inheritance and lawyers, Mia said. When everything settles a bit, I'll explain it all, I told her. Right now, I need to ask you something. Has your mom mentioned anything about your med school loans? There was a pause. She said she'd help me with them once the inheritance came through, Mia said slowly. Why? Just curious, I answered. How much do you still owe? About $180,000, she whispered. I'm in my second year. It's a lot, Dad. I was really counting on that help. My stomach dropped. Brandy wasn't just using money to box me in. She was already lining up her daughter's futures as leverage. Don't worry about it, I said. We'll figure something out. Dad, you don't have that kind of money, Mia protested. The shop does okay, but not medical school okay. Let me handle that part, I told her. You focus on your studies. I love you, Mia. I love you too, Dad. After we hung up, I sat in the silence of the hotel room and felt the full weight of it. Brandy wasn't just coming after me, she was positioning herself to control our daughters through their finances as well. A new email pinged on my phone. It was from Tom Patterson, already responding. Can meet tomorrow, 9 a.m. This looks serious. Bring all documentation. I replied to confirm the appointment, then tried to sleep. It didn't come easily. The next morning, I got to Tom's office 15 minutes early. He had been practicing family law for 3 decades, and his office looked like it. Shelves packed with casebooks, a desk neatly layered with files, and the face of a man who'd seen every kind of ugliness come out during divorce. Henry, he said, shaking my hand, sit down and walk me through everything. I spent about 40 minutes going over it all. The phone call, the bogus divorce papers, the missing money, the attempt to cancel my insurance. Tom took notes, occasionally asking for clarification, his expression growing darker with each new detail. And you said her uncle warned you? He asked. Yeah, Raymond Mitchell, I said. He called me from hospice 2 weeks ago, told me there were protections in the will. Tom leaned back. The estate hearing is scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the county probate office, he said. You're listed as a required attendee. Me? I asked. Why? That, Tom said, is what we're going to find out. He pulled out a legal pad. But based on what you've told me, I'd say Raymond knew exactly what his niece was capable of, and he tried to stop her. That afternoon, Tom and I drove downtown to the probate office for what the notice described as a preliminary estate review. The building was a gray, lifeless block that smelled like old paper and bureaucracy. Brandy was already there, standing in the hallway beside a woman I didn't recognize. The woman wore an expensive suit and carried herself with the kind of polished confidence you only get from high retainers and billable hours. When Brandy saw me, her face hardened. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. "I was invited," I said. "This is family business," she shot back. "Mr. Lane was specifically requested to attend," Tom said, stepping in, "by the deceased." We were called into a conference room. A probate officer named Mrs. Delgado sat at the head of a long table, a thick file open in front of her. She looked to be around 60, with sharp eyes that didn't miss much. "This is an unusual case," Mrs. Delgado began. "Mr. Raymond Mitchell's will contains several specific provisions that must be reviewed before distribution can proceed." She flipped through the file. "Mrs. Lane, you are the primary beneficiary of an estate valued at approximately $1.2 million. Brandy's attorney smiled. I watched my wife's shoulders relax just a bit. "However," Mrs. Delgado continued, "there are significant restrictions." She adjusted her glasses. "The estate includes 3 rental properties with current tenants. The will explicitly states that those tenants cannot be evicted, nor can their rent be raised beyond CPI adjustments for a period of 5 years. I watched Brandy's smile falter. "In addition," Mrs. Delgado said, turning her gaze to me, "Mr. Lane has been appointed as observer and compliance officer. Any major decisions involving the estate must be documented and reviewed by him during the 18-month administrative period." "That's ridiculous," Brandy snapped. "He's not even blood family." "Mr. Mitchell was very clear in his instructions," Mrs. Delgado replied calmly. "He specifically stated that no beneficiary may use estate assets or expected proceeds to force a spouse out of a shared home without proper legal process and adequate support." The room went still. I felt Tom's hand rest briefly on my shoulder, a silent reminder to stay composed. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. "Mr. Lane, this is David Foster from Foster Realty. Your wife listed your home for sale last night. A buyer submitted a $50,000 deposit and is demanding contract signing today. Please call immediately." I showed the message to Tom. His jaw tightened. "Mrs. Delgado," Tom said, "I believe we need to address an unauthorized real estate transaction." Mrs. Delgado formally adjourned the hearing after noting the unauthorized listing. Tom and I walked out to the parking lot, and I called David Foster immediately. He answered on the second ring, sounding strained. "Mr. Lane, thank God," he said. "The buyer is here in my office right now. He's threatening legal action. Your wife assured him the property was clear to sell." "Who's the buyer?" I asked. "Judge Malcolm Sterling, retired federal judge. He's not someone you want to be in a dispute with, Mr. Lane." My stomach dropped. A federal judge. Of course Brandy would manage to find someone with serious pull. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, I said. "Don't let anyone sign anything." Tom drove. We made it to Foster Realty in 18 minutes. Inside, a man in his 70s sat in the reception area, impeccably dressed, radiating the quiet authority that comes from 3 decades on the federal bench. He stood when we walked in. "Judge Sterling," Tom said, extending his hand. "I'm Tom Patterson, Mr. Lane's attorney. We need to clear up some issues regarding this property." The judge's handshake was firm. "I hope this doesn't take long," he said. "I was told this was a simple, clean transaction." We moved into a conference room. Tom laid everything out carefully. The inheritance, the restrictions in the will, the fact that Brandy had no legal authority to sell the house. He produced documentation from the probate hearing that morning. Judge Sterling listened without interruption. When Tom finished, he turned to David Foster. "Did you confirm Mrs. Lane's authority to sell?" he asked. Foster looked pale. "She was very confident. She had paperwork." "What paperwork?" the judge pressed. "A letter from her attorney saying she had full ownership," Foster said weakly. "No court order?" the judge asked. "No deed transfer? No probate clearance?" Foster's silence answered for him. Judge Sterling stood. "Mr. Foster, I expect my deposit refunded within 48 hours, he said. "Mr. Lane, I apologize for the situation. Your wife misrepresented herself." He paused at the door. "I won't pursue criminal charges, but I will be filing a complaint with the State Real Estate Commission." After the judge left, I felt some of the tension drain from my shoulders. Tom gave a grim smile. That could have been much worse, he said. That evening, my phone rang again. Emily, my younger daughter, 23, finishing her undergrad at Ohio State. I picked up immediately. Dad, I need to talk to you about something, she said. Her voice sounded off, too steady, too controlled. What is it, honey? I went to see Mom today, Emily said. At the house. I wanted to understand what was going on. She paused. I recorded our conversation. You need to hear it. My heart rate kicked up. Emily, what did she say? Just listen, Dad. I'm sending it now. My phone buzzed with an incoming audio file. I put Emily on speaker and hit play. I heard Emily's voice first. Mom, I need to understand why Dad left. He won't give me details. Then Brandy's voice sharp and cold. Your father is a weak man, Emily. He always has been. He built a little shop and thought that made him successful. I deserve better than spending my life tied to someone so mediocre. But you were married for 27 years, Emily said. Brandy laughed, a harsh, joyless sound. I've been planning this for years, sweetheart. The moment Uncle Raymond got sick, I knew it was my chance. Your father never suspected anything. He's too trusting, too stupid to see what's right in front of him. What about me and Mia? Emily asked. What about us? You'll both be fine, Brandy said dismissively. Mia will come around once she realizes I control her future. She wants to finish medical school. She'll need me. And you're smarter than your father. You'll understand. This is just business. The recording stopped. I sat there in my hotel room, staring at my phone, feeling like someone had driven a fist straight into my chest. Dad? Emily's voice came through, small and shaky. I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was like this. It's not your fault, I managed. I'm sending this to Mia, Emily said. She needs to know the truth. Dad, I'm on your side. Whatever happens, I'm with you. The next morning, I met Tom at his office again. I'd forwarded Emily's recording to him overnight. He told me he'd listened to it 3 times, taking notes each time. This changes everything, Tom said. It's proof of premeditation, using the inheritance as a weapon and trying to manipulate your daughters through financial control. Can we use it in court? I asked. Ohio is a one-party consent state, Tom said. Emily was part of the conversation. It's completely admissible. My phone buzzed. Mia, I picked up immediately. Dad, she said. Emily sent me the recording. Her voice sounded different, harder, steadier. I've been up all night listening to it over and over. I'm sorry you had to hear that, I said. No, Mia said firmly. I needed to hear it. I needed to know who she really is. Dad, I'm done. I don't care about the money for med school. I'll take out more loans. I'll work 3 jobs, but I'm not taking a cent from her. Mia, that's almost $200,000, I said. You can't just... She thinks she can buy my loyalty, Mia cut in. She thinks I'll pick money over you. I'm not her, Dad. I'm choosing you. After we hung up, I sat there feeling both proud and shattered. My daughter was willing to risk her financial future just to stand on the right side of this. Tom cleared his throat gently. There's something else we need to go over, he said. I've been reviewing the material from Raymond's attorney. There's a package addressed to you personally. They held it until after the probate hearing. He handed me a manila envelope with my name on the front in Raymond's shaky handwriting. Inside were letters, dozens of them, all written to me but never mailed. I opened the first one, dated 12 years ago. Dear Henry, I saw something today I wish I hadn't. Brandy was at the country club with a man who wasn't you. They were too comfortable, too familiar. I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't bring myself to blow up your family. I'm sorry. I'm a coward. Raymond. My hands trembled as I opened another from 9 years ago. Henry, I saw them again. This time I recognized the man. Derek Chandler, your best friend. I've been sick over this for weeks. How do I tell you the 2 people you trust most are betraying you? I can't, but I'm documenting it. Someday, you might need proof. Raymond. I looked up at Tom. Derek Chandler, I said slowly. My best friend since college. Tom's expression softened. Keep reading. I opened the most recent letter, written 3 weeks ago in barely legible handwriting. Henry, I'm dying, but I have to warn you. Brandy came to the hospice yesterday. She brought papers and tried to get me to sign them while I was on strong pain meds. She wanted to change the will, remove your protections, make everything simpler for her. I refused. The nurse witnessed it. I'm changing the will one last time tomorrow. Every protection I can think of, I'm putting in place. You've been like a son to me. I won't let her destroy you the way she's planned. Be strong, trust the process. Raymond? I set the letters down, feeling something crack open inside me. Raymond had known for years. He'd known about the affair, about Derek's betrayal, about Brandy's scheming, and he'd tried to protect me in the only way he could. There's one more thing in the envelope, Tom said quietly. I reached in and pulled out a medical document, a blood type compatibility chart from when Emily was born 23 years ago. There were notes in Raymond's handwriting: Brandy, type A, Henry, type O, Emily, type AB. Impossible combination. I checked. A parent with type O and a parent with type A cannot have a child with type AB. I'm so sorry, Henry. The room tilted. I read the notes again and again. Emily wasn't my biological daughter. Henry, Tom said carefully, this doesn't change the fact that you're her father. You raised her. You love her. Biology doesn't undo that. I need a test, I said. My own voice sounded like it was coming from a distance. I need to know for sure. Tom nodded. I'll arrange it, but think very carefully about when and if you ever share this with her. Emily just chose you over her mother's money. She doesn't need another bomb dropped on her right now. I looked at the document again. 23 years of lies. 23 years raising a daughter who carried Derek Chandler's DNA instead of mine. But Emily was the one who had stood up for me, recorded her mother, sent me the truth. She'd called me Dad with love in her voice. You're right, I said finally. She doesn't need to know. Not yet. Maybe not ever. She's my daughter, no matter what any lab report says. 3 days after I discovered Raymond's letters, I received a phone call that changed everything again. I was at the shop, going over a contract for a new aerospace client, when my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Lane, this is Patricia Voss from Titanium Aerospace Industries. Do you have a few minutes? I stepped into my office and closed the door. I do. What can I do for you? We've been very impressed with the work your shop has done on our components, she said. We're expanding our precision manufacturing division, and we'd like to discuss bringing you on as Director of Quality Operations. It's a senior role overseeing multiple facilities and implementing standards across our supply chain. My pulse kicked up. What kind of position are we talking about? 6-figure salary, full benefits, relocation assistance to our headquarters in Colorado, she said. Base salary would be $170,000 annually, plus performance bonuses. We know it's a big ask, but we believe you're the right person. I sank into my chair. This was the kind of opportunity you get once in a career, if ever. When would you need an answer? I asked. We'd like to move quickly, Patricia said. Could we schedule a formal interview for next week? Absolutely, I said. Send me the details. After the call ended, I stared at my desk for a long moment. The offer had apparently been in motion for over a month, but I'd never mentioned it to Brandy. Something had told me to keep it to myself, to hold that card close. Now I understood why. If I'd told her before she kicked me out, that future income would have been on the table in the divorce. But with the separation already underway, this opportunity was mine alone. That evening, my phone buzzed with a new notification, a court filing. Brandy had applied for a restraining order against me, claiming she feared for her safety. The filing included photos of bruises on her arms and a statement that I'd become increasingly aggressive and threatening. I stared at the screen in disbelief and immediately called Tom. I just saw it, he said before I could speak. Don't panic. Do you have an alibi for the date she's claiming? I've been at the hotel for 4 days, I said. There are cameras everywhere. I haven't gone anywhere near her. Perfect, Tom said. Tom said the hearing is set for tomorrow at 2 p.m., he told me. Be there, and bring anything that proves where you've been. Hotel receipts, credit card statements, timestamps from work, all of it. The next afternoon, I found myself standing in a courtroom for the first time in my life. The judge, Rachel Cunningham, was a woman in her late 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense presence. Brandy sat beside her attorney, trying to look equal parts composed and distressed. Mrs. Lane, Judge Cunningham began, You're claiming your husband has been threatening and physically aggressive. Do you have any evidence to support that?" Brandy's attorney stood. "Yes, Your Honor. We have photographs showing bruises on Mrs. Lane's arms and a sworn statement describing several incidents." "Mr. Lane," the judge said, turning her attention to me, "how do you respond to these allegations?" Tom rose. "Your Honor, Mr. Lane has been staying at the Hampton Inn since the evening of Tuesday, April 9th. He has had no in-person contact with Mrs. Lane during that time, only documented calls and text messages. We have hotel security footage, credit card receipts showing purchases away from the marital home, and time-stamped records from his workplace security system. The alleged incidents could not have occurred. The timeline makes them physically impossible." Judge Cunningham studied the documents Tom handed up. Her expression hardened. "Mrs. Lane," she said, "these records place your husband 20 miles away at the very times you claim he assaulted you. How do you explain that discrepancy?" Brandy went pale. I might have mixed up the dates. It was traumatic. I may have—" "Mrs. Lane," the judge cut in, her tone icy, "filing false statements in support of a restraining order is a serious matter. Your request is denied. Furthermore, I am noting in the record that this appears to be a malicious filing. If you misuse this court's time again, there will be consequences." Brandy's attorney looked like he wished he could dissolve into the floor. As we stepped out of the courtroom, I saw Brandy in the hallway, her face contorted with humiliation and fury. She had tried to paint me as violent, and the judge had seen straight through her. Tom pulled me aside. "That just did real damage to her credibility in the divorce," he said quietly. "Judges remember when someone lies under oath." That evening, I called Patricia Voss back. "I'm very interested in the position," I told her. "Let's set up that interview." A week later, I sat across from Tom as he spread several documents across his desk. The official estate valuation had finally come in, and we were looking at the real numbers for the first time. "The original estimate was about $1.2 million, Tom said. "But that was a rough figure. The detailed breakdown tells a different story." He pointed to the first page. "The 3 rental properties are worth about $700,000 total. But there are outstanding mortgages of $210,000, plus about $80,000 in deferred maintenance, roofs, HVAC systems, other repairs. Net value is closer to $400,000. So, around $400,000 in actual equity," I said. "Correct," he replied. "Then there's the investment portfolio, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, valued at $320,000, but Raymond had $60,000 in medical and end-of-life expenses. On top of that, we have estate taxes." Tom picked up a calculator and ran the numbers. "After federal and state estate taxes, outstanding debts, and required legal fees, the liquid assets Brandy will receive come out to roughly $400,000. I leaned back. "She told everyone it was millions. She told our daughters she'd be worth $5 to $7 million. She either doesn't understand how estates work," Tom said, "or she was deliberately inflating the numbers. And there's something else. Those rental properties are locked in as affordable housing for 5 years. She can't sell, can't spike the rent, and she has to keep them in good condition. After mortgages and maintenance, they'll bring in maybe $2,000 a month net. She's basically locked into being a landlord for the next half-decade. So $400,000 in cash and some modest rental income," I said. "Less than what she stole from our accounts over 7 years. "Significantly less," Tom agreed. "And that's not the end of it." He picked up another document. "I did some digging. Brandy's been borrowing money, 3 personal loans totaling $65,000, all taken out in the last 2 months. She told the lenders she had a big inheritance coming and used it as leverage." "Who did she borrow from?" I asked. "2 friends and her brother," Tom said. "She promised them all a 20% return once the estate paid out. She's been acting like the money was already in her pocket." A cold satisfaction ran through me. "So, when she gets $400,000 instead of millions," I said, "she'll have to pay back $65,000 plus interest. That leaves her closer to $320,000. "Right," Tom said. "And keep in mind, she's been living in the house without paying the mortgage for 2 months, telling the bank the estate will cover it. They're losing patience." My phone buzzed, a message forwarded by Tom's office. He nodded toward it. "That's the one I wanted you to see." I opened the attachment, a scan of a lease agreement. Brandy had rented a luxury high-rise apartment in downtown Columbus, 2-year lease at $4,000 a month. She signed this yesterday, Tom said. She's planning to move into a place that will cost $96,000 over 2 years. She's spending like she's a multimillionaire. I did the math in my head. $320,000 minus the lease, minus normal living expenses, minus the costs of keeping up those rentals. In 2 years, Brandy would be skating dangerously close to broke. What about the shop? I asked. What's her claim there? The business was started before you got married, Tom said. But the growth during the marriage can be treated as marital property. That said, with the proof of her siphoning funds and how systematically she drained joint assets, we can push for a very limited share. You might have to buy her out for somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000, maybe even less, considering her behavior. And my new job? I asked. Colorado gives you a clean slate, Tom said. Your new salary starts after the separation date. That income is yours alone. She has no entitlement to it. I sat there as everything clicked into place. Brandy had burned our marriage to the ground over an inheritance she had wildly overestimated. She'd borrowed money she didn't truly have, signed a lease on an apartment she couldn't realistically maintain, and done it all assuming I'd walk away penniless. That night, back at the hotel, my phone rang again. The caller ID made my stomach twist. Derek Chandler, my former best friend. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Henry, he said, sounding uneasy. We need to talk. I don't think we do, I replied calmly. Look, I know things are complicated right now with you and Brandy, he started. Complicated, I repeated. That's an interesting choice of words, Derek. There was a long silence on the line. She told me you know, Derek finally said. I do, I answered, my voice steady and controlled. I know you've been sleeping with my wife for over a decade. I know you stood next to me as best man at my wedding while you were planning to betray me. And I know Emily is biologically your daughter. Henry, I'm going to say this once, I cut in. You stay away from me. You stay away from my daughters. If I see you, if you contact me, I will make sure everyone in our industry knows exactly what kind of man you are. Am I clear? You can't. Clear? I repeated, firmer. Yes, Derek said quietly. I hung up and blocked his number. Then I opened my email and started drafting my acceptance note to Titanium Aerospace Industries. 2 weeks after the restraining order hearing, Mia called. Her voice was tight, like she was holding herself together by force. Dad, I did something, she said. I need to tell you before Mom does. What happened? I went to see her yesterday, Mia said. I brought Emily. We confronted her about everything. The affair with Derek, the money she stole, the lies about you being violent. We recorded the whole thing. My chest tightened. Mia, you didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, she said. We both did. And, Dad, she admitted everything. She didn't even try to deny it. She just said we were too young to understand and that we'd thank her someday. Where's the recording now? I asked. I'm sending it to you and to Tom, she said. But there's more. She told us that if we choose you over her, we're cut off completely. No money for med school, nothing. She actually said, choose wisely. I heard Emily's voice faintly in the background. We already chose, Dad. We chose you. That evening, I sat in Tom's office and listened to the recording. Brandy's voice came through clear, icy, and arrogant. When Mia asked her directly about Derek, Brandy actually laughed. Derek and I have been together for 11 years, she said on the recording. Your father never suspected a thing. He was always so trusting, so naive. It made everything easier. What about the money you took from Dad? Emily asked. That was mine to take, Brandy replied. I earned it by wasting my life married to him. Every dollar I transferred was payment for years of mediocrity. Then Emily's voice, small but fierce. And me? Am I even Dad's daughter? There was a pause. Then Brandy's voice turned sharper. That's none of your concern. Answer the question, Emily said, her voice shaking. Fine, Brandy snapped. No, Emily is Derek's daughter. I've known since before she was born. But Henry never questioned it. It was better that way, better for everyone. The recording went on, but I didn't need to hear more. Tom stopped it and looked at me. This is devastating evidence, he said. Combined with the financial records and her failed restraining order, She's destroyed whatever credibility she had left. What happens now? I asked. Now we file for divorce formally, Tom said. We cite adultery and financial fraud. We submit everything, the recordings, the bank statements, Raymond's letters. With this much leverage, I doubt she'll want a trial. We push for a settlement heavily in your favor. 3 days later, Brandy's attorney called, requesting a settlement conference. They knew they were beaten. The agreement came together quickly. Brandy kept her inheritance, reduced by taxes and debts to about $400,000. I kept the house, my business free and clear, and recovered $150,000 of the money she'd siphoned from our accounts. She retained the rental properties, along with all their restrictions and maintenance obligations. The divorce would be finalized in 60 days. I formally accepted the job with Titanium Aerospace. The pay was better than I'd ever imagined, and Colorado offered exactly what I needed, a clean slate. I put the house on the market and sold most of the furniture. Too many memories and very few worth holding on to. 2 weeks before my move, I had dinner with both my daughters. We met at a small Italian place with red checkered tablecloths, candles on the tables, and a faint smell of garlic and wine in the air. Mia and Emily sat across from me, both of them looking older, more grounded than they had just months ago. I found a program at the University of Colorado that covers most of my remaining tuition, Mia said. I applied last week. If I get in, I'll be close to you, Dad. You applied to transfer? I asked. I'm not staying here, she said firmly. Not near her. Colorado sounds like exactly what I need. Emily reached across the table and took my hand. I know about the DNA test, she said quietly. I froze. Emily, Tom's assistant accidentally copied me on an email, she said. I saw the results. I know Derek is my biological father. Emily, that doesn't change anything, I said, my voice catching. You're my daughter. You'll always be my daughter. I know, she said, tears gathering in her eyes. That's what I wanted to tell you. You're the one who raised me. You're the one who taught me right from wrong. You're the one who showed me what a good man looks like. Derek might have donated some DNA, but you gave me everything else. You're my dad. That's never going to change. I couldn't find words. I just held her hand and let the moment sink in. We're a family, Mia said. The three of us. That's what matters. Not her, not Derek, not the money, just us. 8 months later, I was standing in my apartment in Denver, looking out at the Rockies on the horizon. The view still surprised me every morning. Colorado had been good to me. The work at Titanium Aerospace was demanding and meaningful. The team was professional, and the salary had transformed my financial life. My phone buzzed with a text from Mia. See you tonight at 7. Emily's flight lands at 6:15. We're cooking, so don't eat lunch. I smiled. Mia had been accepted into the University of Colorado School of Medicine and had started classes 2 months earlier. She was thriving there. Emily was finishing her undergraduate degree in Ohio, but flew out once a month to visit. That evening, I walked into Mia's apartment to find both of my daughters in the kitchen, bickering cheerfully over pasta sauce while music played in the background. The simple normalcy of it, the warmth, hit me harder than I expected. Dad, Emily called, rushing over to hug me. You're early. Traffic was light, I said, hugging her back. Dinner was loud and imperfect and absolutely wonderful. We talked about Mia's anatomy labs, Emily's upcoming graduation, and the project I was overseeing at work. No one mentioned Brandy. She was no longer the center of anything. She was just past tense. After dinner, as we sipped coffee, Mia cleared her throat. We have something to tell you, Dad, she said. I looked from one to the other. What's going on? We organized something, Emily said, for next weekend, a dinner. We invited Tom, Mia added, and a few of your coworkers from Titanium and that neighbor you're always talking about, the one who helped you settle in. It's not exactly a surprise party. It's more of a celebration, Emily said. We wanted to do something to honor you, to say thank you, for showing us what integrity looks like, for choosing the hard right instead of the easy wrong. You don't have to thank me, I said. You're my daughters. We know, Emily said, but we want to. You lost a wife who didn't deserve you, she continued. You lost a friend who betrayed you. You lost the life you thought you had for 27 years. But you never lost yourself. You never turned bitter. You never started lying or playing dirty. You just kept being you, honest, steady, decent. That's worth celebrating. The dinner the following weekend was at a restaurant with mountain views and great steaks. Tom flew in from Ohio, joking that airline miles were a small price to pay to toast a client who'd actually listened to his advice. 3 of my colleagues came, along with my neighbor Dave and his wife. Partway through the meal, Mia stood and raised her glass. "I want to say something," she began. 8 months ago, my father's life fell apart. His wife betrayed him. His best friend betrayed him. Everything he thought was solid turned out to be sand, but he didn't. He didn't fall apart. He documented everything, trusted the process, and fought for what was right. Dad, you taught Emily and me that character isn't what you show when life is easy. It's who you are when everything goes wrong. You showed us how to walk through fire without turning to ash. Then Emily stood. When I found out about my biology, I was terrified you'd see me differently, she said. But you didn't. You held my hand and told me I was yours, no matter what any test said. That's what a father does. Not the man who provided DNA, but the man who shows up day after day. Thank you for always showing up for us, Dad. I looked around the table, at my daughters, at Tom, at my co-workers who barely knew the full story, at my neighbor who had become a friend. These were my people now. This was my life. I didn't do anything special, I said when I could finally speak. I just refused to let someone else's betrayal turn me into something I'm not. I refused to get bitter or cruel. And I held on to the 2 most important things I had left, my daughters and my self-respect. Tom lifted his glass. "To Henry Lane," he said, "a man who won by refusing to play dirty." Everyone raised their glasses. As I drank, something settled in my chest. Not just happiness, but something deeper. Peace, certainty. The quiet knowledge that I'd gone through the worst of it without compromising who I am. Later that night, driving home through Denver's quiet streets, I thought about Brandy. I'd heard bits and pieces through mutual acquaintances. The rental properties were a constant headache. The relationship with Derek had collapsed once the money turned out to be far less than he'd expected. She'd had to leave the luxury apartment she couldn't afford. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel much of anything at all. She was just someone I used to know, a person whose choices had led her exactly where she was. I pulled into my parking spot and looked up at the dark outline of the mountains against the starry sky. Tomorrow, I'd go back to work on projects that challenged me. Tomorrow night, I'd video call Emily about her graduation plans. This weekend, Mia and I would finally hike one of the trails she'd been talking about. I had lost a wife who'd never really valued me. I had gained 2 daughters who chose me, freely and fully. I had walked away from a comfortable business. I had stepped into a career that pushed me to grow. I had lost a life built on lies. I had built a new one on truth. As I walked toward my apartment, keys in hand, a realization settled over me. Brandy had tried to break me with her betrayal. Instead, she'd unknowingly set me free, to become exactly who I was meant to be. And that, I realized, was the greatest victory of all.